All right, it's turkey season in the US. So today I'm going to go over some cooking tips on turkey, try to do a simple roast turkey, and a few tricks and tips I've learned over the years of cooking turkey. I have a frozen 13.5 pound turkey, and there are many types of turkeys out there. This was a frozen one, and usually the frozen ones are what they call self-basting or enhanced or pumped. As you could tell by the label here, it's tender and juicy. I'm going to take the netting off. And there are other types of birds. There's natural, uh, fresh turkeys. Even though turkeys are considered fresh, they're still kind of frozen. In the US, if it's not below 26 degrees, it's considered fresh, and this was frozen solid like a bowling ball. So a nice tender and juicy, depends on what you like. Butter balls, I think they're called self-basting, but if you look at the ingredients, it tells you what it contains. Turkey broth, salt, sodium phosphate, sugars, and flavoring. So you know this bird has been injected. Sometimes people will buy natural birds and brine. Since this has already been injected, you do not need to brine. So when you buy a turkey, especially a frozen one, you want to give it time to defrost, roughly every a day for every 5 pounds. So this is a 13.5 pound bird. So you want it to defrost roughly 3 to 4 days. And you have to account for that when you're doing a turkey, or you'll end up with a frozen rock solid bird when you're trying to cook on that day on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So cut the top off. And some of the tricks and tips when you're defrosting the bird, you have a lot of, especially a frozen one, use a double bag and keep it in the fridge or put it in a tray, because as you can tell, there's a lot of juices. Sometimes these bags have little holes and they'll actually leak. And the next thing you want to do is pull out the giblet bag. So in this one, the giblet bag is the neck and giblets, hearts, liver, turkey neck. So you could save these and make gravy and broth with them. And they have this truss. Some birds have this truss on the end, plastic. Supposedly you could leave it in. I'd like to take it out. And you just grab it and pull and discard. Another thing to look for, sometimes the giblet bag, especially on a big turkey, you could look in the main cavity and look for stuff. But when turkeys are big enough, they have this neck flap. So you want to check under here too for the giblet bag. So one of the things you don't want is you have a perfectly cooked turkey, and then you start cutting it and a giblet bag falls out and it's kind of raw, and it kind of is a downer for the day. So now that I have the giblet bag out, I'm going to drain this and give it a quick rinse. Some people don't rinse, but main thing is to drain and towel dry. This one came out with a pop-up timer that tells you when the turkey's done. Most people ignore this because the pop-up timers typically pop up at 170 degrees or higher, and that means the turkey is going to be overcooked, especially the breast, and it's going to be dry. So what I'm going to do next is just give this bird a quick rinse, towel dry, and drain the bird. So have the bowl ready, cold water, give it a quick rinse. And when you're rinsing it, it'll give you a chance to look at the inside of the bird, make sure you didn't miss anything. You can check down the center, pull off any feathers that have not been taken off. Then look at the front. Make sure this is empty also. Now I'm going to just let it drain. And I'll towel dry. So that's step one of the preparation. I've cooked many turkeys over the years, and I think the one trick is to not to overcook the bird. You could brine it. Even though this is injected, brining is supposed to add more moisture to the bird, but no matter what you do, if you add extra moisture and you overcook it, it's still gonna end up dry. All right, the turkey's been rinsed, and I put it on the cutting board at an angle to allow it to drain out. And I'm going to take some paper towels and start getting the extra moisture off the skin. As you're doing that, again, you could check the turkey to make sure there's no weird bits on it. For example, here this skin flap is just loose and extra, so I'm going to just cut it off. I would toss it, but also you could use this to start making the gravy, so I'll keep it on the side with the giblet bag. So the idea of drying the turkey is to keep excess moisture off the skin, and eventually that will help promote the browning of the skin, so you get a nice crispy skin. If it's moist, if the skin is moist, it ends up kind of getting flabby and leathery. Now the next question is, do you stuff the bird with stuffing or dressing, or leave it empty with minimal stuffing? And I'm in the camp that leaves it empty. There is something about having a traditional turkey stuffed and with the stuffing overflowing, but when you stuff the bird, it takes longer to cook because the stuffing is in the center and you want that to reach 160, but the bird on the outside will start to overcook. So there are pros and cons. You know, that's where some people say if you have a dry bird, you just need more gravy. So it depends on what you want to do, and I just keep it simple, unstuffed. I just put some aromatics in there to help create gravy at the end. Now that this bird is kind of prepped, you want to take the wings and twist it under the bird. This helps stabilize the bird, and usually if the wing is flopping and cooking, this will burn and make for a not good looking bird or turkey. And some people truss, where they keep the bird together, and we'll get to that later, but I tend to just tie it together here so the bird doesn't splay out after it's cooked.